So, you know that your ideal clients are on LinkedIn, and yet something's holding you back. It's not that you don't believe in the platform, it's that you hate the way most people are using it. Spammy DMs, vague connection requests, cold pitches from strangers who know nothing about you. And you don't want to become that person. You want to show up in a way that's thoughtful, genuine, and still gets you clients. If that's the tension that you've been sitting in, you're going to love this conversation with LinkedIn expert Sandra Clark. She's been helping professionals build trust-based visibility on LinkedIn for over 15 years. And in this interview, she shares exactly how coaches can show up strategically without selling their soul to the algorithm or going viral. So let's get into it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sandra. It's a pleasure to have you here. And before we get into kind of the interview questions, I'd love to know a little bit more about your background and how you got into, you're labeled as a LinkedIn expert. So tell me a little bit about how that came about and what's kind of going on for you in the LinkedIn world.
Okay. In many ways, it was an accident, a delightful accident. Many years ago, I was a teacher, and sometimes I find in my life there are threads, and they come together and somehow make sense. Then I worked for the University of California system as an administrator, so that education thread was still a part of it. And then I was laid off. But it was wonderful because I probably would never have had the bravery to go off and do it on my own otherwise, but it pushed me out of the nest. And lo and behold, I discovered I could fly. So when I was laid off, I started helping people with LinkedIn. We all needed to have LinkedIn, and I'd be helping them. And people said, we'd take a class together, and they said, I just don't get it. You seem to understand this. Can you just kind of sit with me and help me? So I did that. And before you know it, people were saying, hey, you should be charging for this. So out of that, a business grew. And I've been doing this now for about 15 years. And it never gets old. It's always, each client is new. LinkedIn is endlessly new.
Yeah, always changing. Yeah.
So it keeps my brain engaged. So I've kept on going. And, becoming an expert is largely a question of doing it.
Yeah.
Staying in touch with other people who are LinkedIn experts so that you can share information about what's happening, because LinkedIn certainly doesn't help you. And that's where it's gone from there. So it's been a wonderful experience of putting all the strange threads of my life together, and I love it.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And you're so right about the expert piece is all about the actual doing. And that's a great segue into, kind of the piece that we're putting together today. As you know, from our previous conversations, my audience is professional coaches. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions I consistently get from them is, how do I get more clients? How do I get more clients? And they kind of have this, cobbled together idea of social and what that looks like. But a lot of them in the coaching industry are from their leadership coaches, their executive coaches. They're working with that professional type person who is typically found on LinkedIn. And, I'm always amazed by the little amount that some of these coaches are doing on the LinkedIn platform. So, with the questions that I've put together today, for this session, I was really hoping that we could dig into, some of the things that happen for the coaches and what they're missing the boat on, really, when it comes to LinkedIn. So if we start with the first question, what makes LinkedIn a really unique platform for coaches, and especially those who aren't interested in going viral?
Right. Well, viral is such a weird thing. Viral means a lot of people see it, most of whom are probably not your target clients. So it's actually just wastes a lot of time. But building relationships, building your visibility, LinkedIn is the place to do it. I specialize in what I call social media for the socially reluctant. And so I totally get it about not wanting to put yourself out there. It feels a little not so good sometimes. but it's a way of, well, two things come to mind. One is when you meet, when you're referred, and I'm guessing a lot of your clients are people that get their business from referrals, which is wonderful. But when that person refers you, the person they refer you to probably is going to look you up on LinkedIn. They want to see, is this the person I've heard about? Tell me more. So they look up and they want to see that the two match. And if they don't, it's just doesn't work. So they're disillusioned and they don't want to contact you. And it's also this wonderful place to build a relationship with people that you meet. If you go to a networking event, a conference, you meet anyone socially, to sort of say, well, let's connect on Facebook. Well, that's a little weird. That's a little too personal somehow. And many people don't use Facebook anymore. But you say, well, I'm going to email you. Well, why don't you email me? I haven't asked you for anything. It's like too much too soon. But connecting on LinkedIn is always appropriate, professional, and you begin the connection dance. So you connect with them on LinkedIn and you make reference to, it was great meeting you at this conference. Look forward to continuing that conversation a little further about that speaker that we both thought was awesome. And then you start to get to know them and you build that over time. So you're not sort of jumping in for, oh, I met you at this conference and boy, have I got something I want to sell you. You're just getting to know each other. And out of that, you get to know people and you might earn the privilege of doing business with them or being a referral. Because a lot of the time, those people might not need you, but they say, you know what? I met someone who needs exactly what you have to offer. So it's a great, gentle, and authentic place to do that. Yes, people do go to LinkedIn and it's all about sales and you probably get tons of invitations trying to sell you.
Yes.
So absolutely that happens. It doesn't mean you have to pay attention to that. You can ignore that and use it in the way that feels appropriate and good to you.
Yeah, I love that, Sandra. I mean, you raised some really good points. The relationship piece is so important for these coaches because they're not selling widgets. They're selling, high ticket coaching programs that require a lot of trust. And the clients aren't the kind of people that are just going to go to a website and press a button and say, do the buy now thing. Like, it's got to be nurtured. And that takes quite a bit. So being able to start that relationship on LinkedIn, I think, is a super helpful tip. And then I didn't even think that you could use it for kind of like it's almost like a business card. So when you're meeting people, if you don't want that invasive, give me your email or whatever, it's a really great place to just gently say, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn. You're able to do the follow-up with the connection. The relationship will start from there and they can see everything that they need to see about you. So that's really good stuff. Like, I love that.
And one of the things about that is I love that it's gentle, but it's also, you can do it incrementally. So you can connect, you meet, you say, did you see that speaker we saw wrote this great article? You can send, you're not, again, trying to push yourself. You're just building that connection.
Yeah, you're not doing it from scratch, right? So for a coach that has limited time, if they're using LinkedIn as a strategy in their marketing, what's the bare minimum that they should be doing on LinkedIn each week to stay visible?
Okay. Great question and the toughest question. So part of it is, if you're a coach, you're presumably spending a part of your time marketing. I mean, unless you just have so much unlimited referral business that you don't ever need to. But let's say you're spending a part of your time marketing. So you look at your schedule and you say, okay, well, I'm spending 10 hours a week marketing. How are you dividing up that marketing? Are you doing a newsletter? Are you doing speaking engagement? So you divide it up and you look at what amount of time do you have for LinkedIn. So that way, it should be a significant part of your marketing, I think, because it's just such a valuable part. But at the very least, people think, oh, I don't have time. You're marketing. What are you spending that marketing time on? Is it something that's of greater value? Most of the time, it's not. So you might do it that way, like how much time I've got. I've got 1 hour a week. Now you want to divide that 1 hour up, not do 1 hour all in a chunk. You want to divide that up by 5 days and spend my math. an hour. So you want to spend, 15 minutes or something a day. Ideally, if you're using it seriously for marketing, you're going to do a little bit more. And by marketing, I'm talking about making connections, commenting on other people's posts, possibly posting yourself. So it's all of those things. But whatever time you have, sometimes I'll work with an executive and I say, you need to spend some time on LinkedIn. He says, I don't have time. I said, well, can you give me 20 minutes? He said, no, I don't have time. Can you give me 15? No, 10. So I say, okay, 10 minutes. I want you to go ahead and set your timer for 10 minutes and we'll decide what are the strategic things to do in 10 minutes every day, because it's the regular thing that is so important on LinkedIn, not either the algorithm rewards you. People need to see you there consistently. One of the reasons I have people use a timer is people say, I get sucked in. I waste so much time on it, and I just really can't afford that time. But if you set a timer and time's up, you walk away. And I'll have these cute little emails from people saying, oh, Sandra, I followed your advice and I walked away, was excited about it, and I went back the next day to do more. You want to, leave it feeling excited to go back. So minimum, just staying in touch, keeping the algorithm going, 15 minutes a day. If you're serious about using it for marketing, and by that I include relationship building, we're looking at 30 minutes a day, which is still not a lot in your total marketing scheme. And then there are certain things you want to do every day. Some people, you'll take programs and they say, oh, you've got to post. You've got to post constantly. Every day you've got to post several times a day. No, you don't. You need to be visible every day. Visibility can be connected with someone. It can be liking or commenting on someone's post. But that kind of visibility is critical. And you can find that time when you think of that range of activities. If you're going to post, great. Don't post multiple times a day. It's not good. The algorithm actually doesn't like that. And the moment you post the second thing, it kind of stops emphasizing the first thing. So once a day maximum, and I would say twice a week is plenty.
To put posts up.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then what you're saying is whatever you can spare daily, you want to be commenting, making connections, liking, and just being visible on other things that are going on apart from your own posts.
Absolutely. And even private messages. Sometimes people they just feel shy. Again, that social media for the socially reluctant thing. They don't even like commenting on posts. They don't want to be seen. You can send a private message to someone. Jackie, I saw that you posted about this. Congratulations, that's great. And nobody else can see it, just you, but the algorithm sees it and rewards you for being active. So you just need to feed that algorithm. I call it feeding the goldfish.
Yeah. And because we were talking about the relational piece, like especially with comments, there was a piece a while ago where people were just like thumbs up or an emoji or this is awesome or whatever. That's not cutting it anymore, right? Like it needs to be thoughtful comments on a post.
Right. It's just like if like endorsements. You can do endorsements on LinkedIn, which are kind of a waste of time now. They used to be valuable, but it's a little bit like, attaboy, good job. Who cares? What does that mean? But if I say, Jackie, when you wrote about the challenges that you face as a business person, I really related to that. Now that's starting to mean something, and you feel, boy, you really read what I wrote. That means something to me. So yeah. Absolutely. The commenting is king.
Yeah.
That should be my magic quote. Commenting is
king.
More so than posting.
Yeah. So I work with a lot of coaches, and one of the things they always say to me is, oh, my profile needs updating. So what are 2 to 3 profile tweaks that coaches can make like today that's going to better reflect certainly their niche and their authority in the coaching world, do you think?
Okay, well, number one, you'll hear this from probably every LinkedIn training or coach you see, is your headline. It's right under your name. Now, it's called your headline. It is not called your job title.
Right.
If you're a job seeker, this is actually a little different. If you're a job seeker, you actually want the job title that you want in that headline. But as a coach, You want one, communicate what it is you do. So coaching is awfully generic. So you're an executive coach. Do you work with women? Do you work with companies that are struggling? So what kind of coach are you? And then you want a number of keywords, because keywords really help you be found. And so I say, so you're the title of what you do, plus a keyword, plus a keyword, plus a keyword, and then possibly a mission statement. Something that's unique and special about you. I've switched mine. I've put mine at the beginning. This is not good advice for other people. I get to break the rules with my social media for this person to look in. Normally, that would be something that should be at the end, but it could put changing the way companies function in the digital era. I don't know, that's a terrible tagline, but something about what it is you do, so that when we see that, we see your name, we see your headline, and every time you post or comment, that's attached to you. It's free advertising. So
Right.
that's number one. And then the about section is the other one, which is the thing people fight and resist the most, because I don't know what's right. Well, one, it should be in first person.
Okay. Yeah.
And it also is introducing yourself to people. So it is critical. If you go to a networking event and I say, hey, Jackie, nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. And you just stand there. I'm not going to be very impressed, right? But if you say, well, I work with clients from around the world, specifically executive coaches who need that additional assistance, now you're starting to communicate. So that's really all it is, your elevator pitch. You can include more. There's room for 2,600 characters. You don't have to fill it all, but that's pretty roomy. Mine actually is pretty much the full amount of characters. You can talk about the different types of services you offer. I like to encourage people to include a little bit of personal information. I know that feels we hate that. But as coaches, just like with me, I'm working with people. It's a very intimate, personal thing.
Yeah. Humanizing them, right?
Yeah. So I call it the icebreaker section. I've got a little bit of personal information about, I was born in England, raised here. I had a stroke when I was young. I survived it. I have a dog. I like to go hiking. People can kind of relate to me, and they often do reference it. So those, your headline, your about section. There are other technical things. You want to have your skills in there. You want your experience, but really, I mentioned one thing. There's the contact information at the top. I can't tell you how often I see people have forgotten to update that. And they've got like the contact information of where they used to work or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing out of date on that. But yeah, your headline and your about section, and you're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. So we talked about potentially you only need to really post a couple times a week. What types of posts do you think would be most effective for building trust and that relationship on LinkedIn for coaches?
Okay, there's so many different types of posts in terms of technically type. So there's a text post, there's image posts, there's document posts, there's video posts, and a variety of posts would be the best thing to do. But I say to people, do what you are willing to do on a regular basis. And if one of those types speaks to you, then do that and do it regularly. And then the type of post in terms of content, it should be something that makes people want to respond to you. So you can just say, hey, I've got a program, a new coaches program starting next month. Join me now. It's like an advertisement. Do I really care? Is that going to make me want to do it? No, I don't think so anyways. But if you've got something that's shared experience, a story, you don't have to breach confidentiality, but a client I was working with recently was in a company with high churn, and we worked on specific strategies that would help address those problems. So problem solve, ask questions, because the more people comment by responding to those questions, the more the algorithm spins that out and shows it to more people. So, have you ever experienced a problem like this? Invite people to contribute. Sometimes there's been a popularity of like really personal posts, bearing their souls. And that works for some people. I think it depends a lot on your industry. But most of us are never going to be comfortable doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you raise a really good point there, Sandra, because, you know, I'm obviously working with coaches and helping them to create some of these posts that are going out. What we found consistently is when we ask those questions, it's like there's silent, it's crickets, right? And I wonder if that's because LinkedIn being a professional network, you know, people who their employers are on there. And so they don't want to be vulnerable and say, yeah, I'm really struggling with being organized at work, or I'm really struggling with loving my job right now, or overwhelmed, because they're worried about who might see it. So coaches are working with those kinds of people. So how did they get around that issue?
That is a great question. And it's a problem. It's the same thing for like someone who's looking for a job, but they don't want their current employer to know they're looking. So the same kind of thing. So what you can do is in your post say, if you've struggled with this, message me with an example. Like, I'd love to have this conversation with you. Make it very non-salesy that you're going to try and pitch them your coaching, but invite them to send you a private message.
Perfect. Yeah.
Or invite people to give an example of somebody else. You may not have dealt with this, but have you perhaps seen in the workplace someone who struggled? Have you been able to help them as a manager get through this? Invite them to share their expertise. It may sound strange, but I am connected to at least 200 competitors, probably more.
Mm.
And we see it as co-opetition. We help each other, we support each other, and we all have different types of clients. So we share information, so we comment and help on each other's posts. But yeah, so asking people to send you messages privately. The nature of social media for the socially reluctant tends to mean my people don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
So people will often refer to, it's like they know me, they've seen my posts, but I've never seen them. I didn't know that because they didn't feel comfortable to post or to comment on anything.
Yeah. No, that's a really great point. I love that, inviting them to the DM, and then also switching the question up so it's not necessarily directed at them, but it's asking them to share what they've seen or experienced. Perfect. All right. What's the best way to initiate conversations on LinkedIn without coming across as spammy? So for me, one of the things that I tend to promote to my coaches is get in those DMs, like start building relationships in those DM messages. And the first thing that they'll say is, but they feel so spammy and salesy, and I get hundreds of those every day. So how would you advise them to approach that?
Okay, well, there's several different ways. One is look at someone's profile and see something that you can personalize it with. You know, did you go to the same school? Do you have a connection in common? It's like, oh my gosh, you know Kimberly? Have you ever seen her in action? She is just amazing. You just and find something that's in common. The other thing you can do that makes it very personal is you can do a video message. You use your phone to do it, very personalized. And you're just going to say it was whatever you want to say. It was great meeting you that day, or I see you're a member of the Women's Association of Toronto. I'd love to learn more about it, but you make it personal by doing that video message. But you never go directly from connecting to trying to sell something. It's a slow process. And it's, if you want to develop, it's just incremental. Because otherwise you're certainly going to turn people off. And it's, again, most of your coaches probably go to networking events.
Yeah.
You could go, I go up to the people who are standing on the outer ring because they're my tribe. They're my
the reluctant ones. Yeah.
So I'll go around.
I'm here because my coach made me.
I'll say that. So I'll go to the outside and I'll ask the person, glad you're here. Did you come for the speaker? Were you referred to? I start those conversations and I do it exactly the same way on LinkedIn.
Right.
I don't go up to them and say, hey, I see you on the outskirts of this organization meeting here, and I've got something to sell you. You wouldn't do that. So if you just treat it the same way you would
in-person networking, that's a really great tip. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. All right. So how can coaches then, kind of following on from that, how can coaches build genuine relationships that lead to things like discovery calls? Like I'm always telling my coaches, you're starting the relationship on LinkedIn, but eventually we want to move them off that platform and into your own. So what's some really great ways that they can build those relationships and offer up those, like, come over here and have a conversation, without feeling like there's the cold outreach tactics and this spammy stuff. So how do they manage that piece a little better?
Well, it's part of what's called social marketing. And it's always permission-based marketing. So you don't sort of say, I've got this great article you should read, or I've got this great event you should attend. And you say, I read an article lately that was about the challenges for whatever. Would you like to see it? If they see it, then you send it to them.
Right.
Now, very few perhaps will say that they want to, but it's always permission-based. Or somebody says, well, I wanted to learn more about LinkedIn. And I say, well, I have a free newsletter that comes out twice a month with LinkedIn tips. Would you like to receive that? And then they say, yes, that would be great. I say, okay, what's your email? Now if I'm connected to them, I can see their email on their profile in general, but I don't just use it. I always ask first if they would like to get it. So always permission-based, and always something that's of value to them. Preferably not your own stuff, unless it's like my tips newsletter.
Yeah.
And there is a whole technique to doing that. That's not my area of expertise. That is something also where someone like you can really help coaches by developing a strategy and a plan for growing the network. You can also do things like LinkedIn Lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do something like that, you invite people to attend a free event. And then from that, add them to your mailing list or to connect with you. That can be very successful for growing your network and building that. It's all permission based.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so just having some etiquette around LinkedIn and what it's for, I think is the big message here. And for those of you that are watching, I am signed up to Sandra's email, and I can tell you that it is packed full. I really look forward to it, and it's got some great tips and stuff in there. I've learned so much from getting that, so it's definitely a value item.
Okay. And for me, it's not about sales. I mean, at the very bottom, it says if you'd like help, it will invite people to, but it's about being seen as the expert, about being helpful. And for me, that's part of my value system and how I like to work. So probably true for most of your coaches too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've talked quite a bit about, tactics to use on LinkedIn. What are some things that you're seeing, Sandra, that people should stop doing on LinkedIn in 2025 that are outdated?
Oh, well, it's new and old. There is automation that people can use. In fact, this has been around for a long time. This kind of company, especially approached coaches, said, we'll grow your network, from 100 to 100,000. And you give them access to your account, which is against LinkedIn's terms of policy. So you can get kicked out of LinkedIn for doing that. And they will just shoot out connection requests to people. Yeah, they'll grow it. It makes you look spammy. If LinkedIn sees that that's happening, you can lose your account. So that's been going on for a long time now. It was not a good practice in the past. It's still not a good practice. So don't do it. There's additional automation now with, you could even there's a bot that can comment on posts. Don't do it. I'd rather you comment once a week or never than use automation. AI can be a force for good, but it also can do a lot of harm. So those things that kind of both past and present that are happening. Things that are outdated is trying to game the system, I guess, is part of it, like part of that connecting with a bunch of people through automation. There were tricks in the past, like putting your phone number in your name line. Don't do that. It's meant for your name, not your phone number. And it was seen as a great trick and hack because it made it very visible. Don't do that because it makes you look spammy. So I don't know. There are things that change over the years. Hard to say. I mean, what was bad in the past is still bad now. I can't think of anything other than that.
Yeah, and one piece of that that I'm really interested on your perspective on, Sandra, is I was actually in an AI training yesterday, and the guy hosting it was talking about LinkedIn, and he was saying for connection requests, don't put a personal message in, just send them blind. And I was always in the other camp where I was like, no, you need to, like, we get so many of those every day. And I tend to not pay attention to them. Like, I'm very much in the camp of, if you can't be bothered to introduce yourself and tell me why you're reaching out, then, what's your take on that? He was saying that, some people will go look at your profile because you didn't put anything, and then they'll decide whether to connect, and that he gets way more connections that way than actually putting a personalized message in.
Yeah, it's a funny and very irritating thing, because it used to be, as trainers, we've always told people to include a connection request message. But they've done studies, and statistically, they'll have just slightly more people accept if you don't have a message than if you do, which is very irritating. I have a theory that maybe it has something to do with its effort. If you've got to look to see what the message is, rather like you see their name, their headline. This is where headline becomes important, because we see that in the vision, and we just make a quick decision. I'm not sure that people even bother to look at your profile. So yes, there is some truth to that. Plus, LinkedIn took away your free messages. It used to be you could send a message with every connection request. Now they only allow with the free accounts to send 5 messages.
That's per month. I noticed that. It's really cut down, right?
With the paid, you could do more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been a part of it. But yeah, for whatever strange reason, I don't know if some of it might be generational, or the younger generation rather makes that quick decision. Yes, name, connect, or don't connect, but without a message. However, I would say when they do accept, I always would follow up with a message then. Thanks for accepting my connection request. I look forward to getting to know more about you. I've enjoyed the posts that you've done. You start a conversation always after. But yeah, it's annoying because LinkedIn trainers would love to say you should all write messages. And the studies have shown that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also going hand in hand with those other things, right? So it's not, like you said, it's not just about connection requests. It's also about you commenting thoughtfully on posts and being active and being present, and people seeing you in more than one place.
Right. And if you're someone that's just aggressively growing your business, your connections, all the rest of it, it's sort of different. But in general, coaches are not like that. They want to build authentic connections. So for them, I would say it doesn't apply. For some other, if you don't care, you just want to sell, then maybe it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandra. Like, this has been amazing. And I'm sure that my audience is going to be able to take away some great tips and tricks. I'm looking forward to seeing some updated headlines coming through. That was a really great nugget. I know I'm going to have to go back and look at my profile now, make sure it's all looking good. Yeah, this has been amazing, and I really appreciate you coming on and talking to the coaches and helping them navigate the LinkedIn landscape. Before you run off, how do people stay in your world? What's the best way for them to be on your list or connect with you or whatever? LinkedIn, obviously.
Yeah, obviously connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm fairly easy to find, because although there's 1,000 Sandra Clarks, I will usually show up fairly high in the searches. By all means, on my website, you can subscribe to my newsletter, which is linkedinmentoring.com. And you're welcome to email me if you've got a quick question or you want to know something. I'll usually help if I can. I don't post a lot of content anymore. I'm kind of slowing down in my business, but I try to post things that are helpful and educational. So yeah, I'd love to connect. And if somebody does change their headline, tell me what you've done and what you've changed. It's fun to kind of see.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandra.
What a great conversation. Every time I talk to Sandra, I'm reminded just how much power there is in doing LinkedIn your way with clarity, consistency, and zero sleaze. Here's the truth. If you want LinkedIn to work for your coaching business, you have to actually show up, not just once in a while, not just when inspiration strikes, and definitely not by copying what the loudest people are doing. Most of the coaches in my network haven't posted in months, but visibility doesn't happen in the background, and neither does trust. So before you throw together another random post or feel pressured to just be more active, take a breath, because without clear strategy, you're just adding to the noise. Your LinkedIn presence should feel like you. It should match your business model, speak to your ideal clients, and build authority in a way that feels natural and not forced. If you're ready to stop guessing and start showing up with clarity and intention, I can help. So book a synergy session with me and let's talk about the approach that actually fits for you. Show up with strategy, not pressure. You've got this, and I'll see you in the next video.